Oops. Let me move this. Good evening. Let me put myself on. So tonight I'm looking more into the potential U.S.-Iran conflict. Last night I kind of allayed a lot of my fears. So let's say strong man case for the administration. And then, oh, not strong man, steel man, steel. And then we have straw man case. For the administration. All right. Make this heading 1. Just to specify, this is the Trump administration. Good evening. Thanks for watching. This is a bit of an unconventional stream for me. Let me know if you like it. I usually stream on my stock market Python model to automate market picks, comma, my moves in the my moves in the stock market and painting. Sometimes I do sports betting as well. Subscribe if you're interested! Exclamation. Finally, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. Period. Okay, so straw man case for the administration. Oh, for the Trump administration. Heading 1. Okay, so steel man case is the Iran bombing in June 2025 to culminate the 12-day war. The Iran bombing in June 2025 to culminate the 12-day war was justified. Let's say, what is the so first is what Tulsi Gabbard said. What was the justification, the official justification for the U.S. bombing Iran in June 2025? And I'm drinking beer tonight But this is my last beer until March. Hopefully, maybe till March 14th, my birthday. No more beer, no more coffee. Decaf, however, is allowed. Urgency and deception, yeah. Press secretary said they had intelligence that they're enriching uranium. 60% enriched uranium. Don't care about diplomatic justification. I don't think. Talks are a sham. Yeah, of course. Existential threat. Blah, blah, blah. Addressing the intelligence gap. Yep, this is all. How did they address it? Yeah, whatever. It's not a contradiction, really, if you read the statement. Gabbard, DNI Gabbard, said in her March statement, that Iran had enriched uranium to levels unprecedented by non-nuclear nations. What did she say? For a state without nuclear weapons. To levels, quote, unprecedented by states without nuclear weapons. Additional intelligence. I should say, this isn't really Steelman, but it's important, which we are not privy to. Confirmed that Iran had 60% enriched uranium, according to the press secretary. White House press secretary. Period. Okay, and okay. Let's look up U.S. official statement on Iran bombing 2025. And we want the statement from the president. Here, what's the White House say? President Donald J. Trump's bold, decisive action against Iran. Get out of here. Okay. That's just saying a bunch of good stuff. Both Israel and Iran wanted to stop the war equally. It was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability, then stop the war. The stop the war stuff is obviously bullshit. We don't care, though. We're making the Steelman case. Alright, so that's the first thing. The Black January protest killings are unprecedented since at least 2000. all, let's see, all events which incurred thousands of civilian casualties have been either the result of civil wars or were perpetrated by non-state actors, Myanmar Civil War. Myanmar Civil War. We also have Boko Haram, Nigerian killings, Sudan Civil War, the Bangladesh Civil War, and ISIS. Iraq killings. The U.S. is justified in these differ from the Black January events, in which even the Iranian government estimates over 1,000 killed on the high end. These differ from the Black January events, in which the Iranian government estimates over 1,000 killed on the high end. Let's make this its own sentence. Which were perpetrated by the regime which has been in power for almost 50 years. Okay, straw man case for the Trump administration. The June 2025 bombing of Iran contradicted the March statement from DNI Gabbard, in which she said, quote, so lots of this depends on what this Gabbard thing. Which she said this. Period. Okay. Really, we can't say anything about, we could say for the straw man case, the U.S. response to the Black January events is a convenient excuse to continue the war with Iran. So really, to prove this straw man case, we need to, the first thing is clear, June 2025 bombing, it contradicts it, but so we're this is insinuating that there's some underlying motive. This insinuates that there is an underlying motive. Not hidden, latent. This suggests that there is a latent motive for this action. The U.S. response to Black January events is a convenient excuse to continue the war with Iran. The strikes were limited and ended quickly, so Trump could prime the American public for a longer, protracted war with Iran. Okay, so key point. The Steel Man case is solid and requires no further refinement. So the Steelman case basically answers the questions that we're trying to ask. Why did the U.S. bomb Iran? Well, they had a clear motive. Why is the U.S. currently positioned offshore in Iran? Well, that's to stop the killings. So, I don't know about that. The key point here is that to prove the straw man case, we need to generate we need to understand what the underlying motives could be. Okay. So we need to do that, and then we could also say so the Steelman case is tight, so we can make tests for the Steelman case. Tests for the Steelman case. If Iran stops the killing of protesters and does not execute any protesters. I don't know if we need that. So if Iran stops the killing of any protesters, the U.S. response should look like, also for the straw man response, the positioning of U.S. warships off the coast of Iran mirrors the Venezuelan operation. Okay, so the test for the steel main case is if Iran stops the killing of protesters, the U.S. response should look like saber rattling. The U.S. should withdraw assets from the region. That's pretty straightforward. If this steel main case is correct, then we'll just withdraw from the region if the protests stop. If protests continue, the U.S. will perform limited strikes to get them to stop. If not protests, the killing of protesters continues, the U.S. will perform limited strikes to get them to stop. The U.S. will not engage in a protracted ground war unless Iran refuses to stop, unless Iran continues killing protesters and unless Iran continues killing protesters and the protracted strikes are not effective. The limited strikes, not protracted. The limited strikes will be a best effort by the U.S. So basically not some showmanship so we can say, oh, look, it didn't work, we need to go in. It will be, we're going to hit them with all the military has, while keeping it limited. So we can compare to Venezuela for the best effort assessment. Okay, so that's very easy to test. Now, we need to look more into the straw man case. Further researching the straw man case. Colon, what are the Trump administration's motivations for war with Iran? Okay, number one is Trump basically watched Iran fall, saw, okay, number one, the strongest one really is the Mackinder-Hartland thesis and toppling China. The argument for this is if the U.S. controls Iran, they win global politics. They will control the vast majority of oil exports. What percentage of the global oil supply is provided by the US, Venezuela, and Iran combined. Based on real world pre-war data, okay, the U.S. will control 20% of the world oil supply. But they'll control almost half of the combined reserves, a third of the combined reserves. Okay. They will control 1/5 of global oil production and 1/3 of global oil reserves. China imports 50% of its oil from Iran. U.S. defeat of Iran would result in the collapse of China's economy. Severe recession for China. Okay. Number 2 motivation could be that Trump is beholden to his donors and 2024 Trump campaign donors. Miriam Adelson was Trump's third largest donor in 2024. Okay. The third idea is that U.S. foreign policy is heavily influenced by Israel. What else? What else could be going on? If it is the case that what do you think of this steel and straw man case? And am I missing anything? What could be Trump administration's latent motivations for war with Iran. Since you didn't paste, okay. Critique of the Steelman case. The Black January uniqueness. Your identification that the Black January killings are without precedent for a stable state actor is your strongest point. It creates a right to protect justification, the uranium nuance. You correctly note that the friction between enrichment capability and weaponization. The Steelman argument is that capability equals threat. Weakness. In your text, you attribute the unprecedented levels, quote, to DNI Gabbard. She is the dove in this scenario. She might admit the level is high, but deny the intent. No. I don't know why AI keeps missing this. Gabbard did say that. That was in the statement. That's why she didn't get fired. We have a clear thesis on the Gabbard situation. Nobody's paying attention to the last. Everyone's paying attention to the opening, to the what's it called, the topic sentence. No one's paying attention to the conclusion. And isn't the conclusion kind of the end of the thesis? Alright, so critique of the strawman case. Terminology note. In academic debate terms, a strawman is usually a weak argument designed to be easily destroyed. What you have written here is actually a skeptic's case or a realist case. Okay. Your list of latent motives is a strong foundation, but you're missing three critical economic and psychological drivers. The petro-yuan decoupling. It's obviously not victory disease. Nobody thinks that. Yeah. Nobody thinks this. Right. I did forget about that. Leverage for the April summit with G. It's not really economic woes. Don't do anything. So what is different? Are there tests which could apply to all of the latent motives? Or do I need individual tests for each? No, obviously that's not the case. That's not going to happen. There's no sense in testing that. The Israel security test. Okay, honestly, I'm getting tired. I think that's going to be it for this stream. We've got some good tests for the Steelman case. Time to make some tests for the Strawman case. And then the next thing to do is draw conclusions about what's going to happen in the markets if each of these happens. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's it for tonight. Have a good rest of your day.